Greetings all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there, and you know, lately I've been playing through Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, and to be honest, I think it's a really great game. Now, in case you didn't know, Final Fantasy XII is part of the Final Fantasy series of games, and it was initially released back in 2006, late in the PlayStation 2's life. However, as you can see here, it was recently remastered in HD for the PlayStation 4. Now, there are some differences between both versions of the game, one of which being that the soundtrack was completely rearranged and it sounds amazing. Final Fantasy in general though is known for having some of the best music in the gaming industry, and 12 is no exception to that fact, as it is filled to the brim with some truly wonderful compositions. So, today I bring to you my top 10 songs from Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. Real quick, I just want to say that narrowing it down to just 10 songs was pretty challenging, so if you don't see your favorite on this list, no worries. This isn't a definitive list, but rather just my own opinion. Now, having said all that, let's get started. Alright, before we start the official list, there is one song I want to recognize as an honorable mention. If you're familiar at all with the Final Fantasy series of games, you'll know that the developers don't mind throwing in some fan service from time to time. This could be something as simple as spotting an out-of-place chocobo, or maybe spotting a character named Wedge, Biggs, or Sid, whose names always seem to pop up with each game released. Regardless, in Final Fantasy XII, one of these is when the player is allowed the opportunity to battle against fan favorite Gilgamesh, accompanied by his infamous theme, Battle on the Big Bridge. Just listen to that staccato. This arrangement is very exciting, fast-paced, and matches the difficulty and challenge brought on by the battle that takes place on the screen. But I have this as an honorable mention simply because it's also featured in other titles in the series, so it's not entirely unique to this game. Still, when you encounter Gilgamesh and hear this song queuing up, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, the experience will surely be accompanied by a familiar sense of nostalgia. Kicking off our official list, we have Panello's theme. Now, Panello isn't my favorite character to say the least, as I hardly used her in my party, but that being said, I can acknowledge a good song when I hear one. Being that Panello herself is young and has an adventurous spirit, this song found its way on my list due to the feeling this spirited jingle gives that basically emulates the mischievous qualities that come with simply being a child. It's lighthearted in its composition and full of energy, yet somehow becomes more peaceful the longer you listen. This is indeed the type of song I'd recommend listening to if you wanted to be put in a good mood and feel relaxed at the same time. Just hear it out for a few moments. You'll hear what I mean. Spoiler alert! Okay, so if you're currently playing Final Fantasy XII but haven't beat it yet, or if you're planning to pick it up and don't want to know what happens, I'd advise that you skip to the next song. Don't say I didn't warn you. Surprise! We have controversy, yet mainly due to its low placement on my list, but again, this is just my own opinion. I know a lot of people are crazy about this one, and yes, it is a spectacular piece, don't get me wrong, but for me, as a final boss theme in a Final Fantasy game, I feel like there are better ones in other entries. That being said, look no further if you're wanting to find a tune from Final Fantasy XII that showcases a variety of styles of music, as this song plays tug-of-war with instruments and truly is all over the place, but in a good way. Thanks to its sound, atmosphere, and just overall feel, it's very fitting that this piece is matched up with the final climactic showdown within the game. However, that's what final bosses are all about in the world of Final Fantasy. They're epic and grand in scale, and this song is no different as it fits that description to a T. While maybe not my cup of tea, it's still very well put together, and it definitely gets a nod of approval from me. Compared to the others on this list, Battle for Freedom is a little on the lengthy side. Still, give it a listen. Who knows, you may find that you really like it. So it was between either Giza Plains or Osman Plains, since for whatever dumb reason, I just didn't want to have two plains on this list. However, for the number 8 spot, I decided to go with Osman Plains. Yet, getting back on topic, with this song, right off the bat, thanks to the gallop-sounding percussion, it kind of makes me feel like I'm riding a horse through green meadows. To be honest, minus the monsters you may encounter, Osman Plains itself is actually kind of peaceful and the kind of meadow you wouldn't mind roaming through. Add on to that the mystical sound of the woodwinds, whose high notes seem as if they're dancing to the tune before the rest of the instruments join in on the fun, and you have yourself a piece that's truly a delight to listen to. At number 7, we have the theme for the Clan Hall, which, what can I say about this delightful romp other than the fact that it's, well, full of excitement and energy. When you first walk into the Clan Hall in Rabbin, Esther, you're greeted with an atmosphere filled with other like-minded adventurers, training, battling each other, and just simply awaiting their next hunt. Tack on this happily chaotic melody over top of all of that, and it's sure to make the player proud to be an adventurer, and may even entice you to get up and dance before you go off and slay your next monster. It's short and sweet, and worth playing on repeat. For number 6, we have what could arguably be the saddest song on this list, depending on your point of view, but that goes to A Moment's Rest, or otherwise known as the theme for Old Arcadia. When you first hear this song, you're walking through the beaten-down streets of what was once a great city, yet now that city has moved on to another location, and what's been left here has been run down, and is inhabited solely by people who have had a rough time with life. From thieves, snitchers, broke gamblers, or even just people who happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, they all wound up kicked to the curb, and it's a sad sight. Despite the atmosphere being a bit on the depressing side, I think this arrangement is very well put together and played out. The composition really does a superb job at reflecting the mood, and if you listen carefully, you can almost hear the instruments weeping, as if they feel the pain of those poor lost souls. At number 5, we have a rare sight, or sound I should say. Typically, the general non-final boss battle theme in past Final Fantasy games are great and memorable in their own right, but I wouldn't necessarily place them on a top 10 list. Yet all of a sudden, here comes the boss battle theme from Final Fantasy XII, and I simply cannot help but place it fairly high within my choices. So, what makes this one so special? Well, the ensemble of instruments and sounds clashing together just really gets you charged up and lets you know that there's a sense of urgency with this battle that you're currently experiencing. I mean, you hear this song and you can't help but think, man, there's some real mess going on right now. Heck, I'll even admit, I've pumped some iron in the gym to the sounds of this tune from time to time. Is that maybe a bit lame? Sure, but this song is far from lame, so take a listen and judge for yourself. Now this is probably just me, but there's something about this one where when I hear it, my mind instantly associates it with Star Trek. In particular, the original motion pictures, and even more specifically, the soundtrack for The Wrath of Khan. Why is that? Well, perhaps it's the wonderful placement of the trumpets and the wondrous flowing movement of the strings, yet regardless, the Star Trek films had some great music, so the fact that this adventurous jingle reminds me of that puts it in good company. Yet I'm rambling a bit here, so basically my point is, with this one, it definitely sounds like something that screams, "Your adventure is about to begin, now onward!" I believe being that Dalmasca Esther Sands is one of the first locations you can explore in-game, that was likely their purpose with this one. Other than the fact that I just think it's a tremendously well-arranged piece of music, that's why it's found its way at number 4 on my list. Coming in third, we have the Arcadian Empire theme, which is technically 2 themes in one, as it also consists of the music that plays when traveling through the imperial city of Arcadia. And let me tell you, I love this theme and almost considered bumping it up to my first spot. It starts off loud and proud, almost like a villainous soldier march reminiscent to that of something you'd hear from Star Wars, and the use of trumpets is absolutely perfect for this segment. However, once it transitions to the theme that plays while exploring the Imperial City, and the woodwinds and strings chime in, it suddenly has a sense of entitlement fitting of the town's residents, who are all nobles and highborn. Allow me to skip ahead to that portion of the song, and you'll hear exactly what I mean. Isn't that just splendid? I mean, it's almost as if you can insert your own snobby lyrics to it, such as, "Please help, I need some money, go away, I'm better than you." All jokes aside though, it really does remind me of a piece composed during the 1700s era of classical music, and it's a great tune that I could listen to over and over again. Ereit? Ereit? Well, whatever the case may be, Ereit Village, in my opinion, definitely wins the award for the most beautiful song on this list, as the theme that plays when visiting the home of the enchanting race of Vieras that are heralded for their beauty, having this mesmerizing melody playing in the background is like a match made in heaven. The village itself is the home of one of my favorite characters in the game, Fran, so it already holds a special place in my heart, yet parts of the rearranged orchestral rendition are breathtaking to say the least, and I must admit that when I first heard it, I was taken aback and all. That said, whether you're a fan of the themes from Final Fantasy, or enjoy listening to calming orchestral tunes, this wondrous piece of audio bliss has something to offer for the musical enthusiast. Yet, don't take my word for it, I'd rather we just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this piece, so rather than me talking about it, go ahead and listen for yourself for a few moments. Well, if you made it this far into the video, was there really any surprise? At number 1, we have a song that I feel is certainly the catchiest of all the ones featured within the game, and so it's no wonder that the developers decided to slap this on as the theme for the very first town you encounter at the start of the game. Now that's not necessarily to say it's the prettiest or even the best song on this list, as a few songs gave it a run for its money in my selection process, but The Streets of Rabbinaster is a piece that I feel sets the tone for a story about hope and adventure and offers up that true classic Final Fantasy feel. The literal streets of Rabbinaster are full of wonder and can be a bit overwhelming at first, But with this peppy jingle playing as you find your way around, exploring the town really is a delight. It's full of spunk and life that perfectly resembles that of, well, the streets of Rabbin. I guess that's why it's rightfully titled as such. All that being said though, you could be in a bit of a grumpy mood, but turn on this gleeful tune and you'll likely turn that frown upside down. Or at least maybe tap your feet a little. So there you have it. Do you agree with this list? Or maybe you have a personal favorite that didn't make it? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you want to listen to these songs in full, I'll leave some links in the description below so you can either purchase them or listen to them right here on YouTube. That's it for this episode though. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. But I'm That Bald Gamer, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.